Hello everyone, welcome to another LMMS tutorial. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Kushner. As I've been using LMMS for almost 15 years, I want to share some of my experience to help you create and produce your own music more efficiently and quickly. Today, I'm going to be showing you something pretty simple. I'm going to show you how to make a simple 80s style beat using only the beat baseline editor section. At the end of the video, I will share some advanced strategies that you can use to take that 80s beat and transform it into more of a surround sound type of beat. Something a little more creative. But first, let's start with the basics. Let me guide you over to the instrument plugins section over here on the left panel. I am going to click and drag my Triple Oscillator plugin out of this panel into the beat and bassline editor over here. I'm going to drag a few drum samples that come included with LMMS into the beat and bassline editor also. Click on the My Samples button on the left panel, find a section called drums. We're going to use this first bass drum acoustic drum sound. If you click and hold, you'll hear what the sample sounds like. I'm going to drag this over to my beat bassline editor. This hi-hat closed 05, I'm going to drag over this sample titled snare acoustic 01 and drag that over into the beat bassline editor. Now I have a really simple drum kit here. If you want to rearrange the order of your drum samples, you can do that. Personally, I tend to prefer my drum samples on top, anything that's not a drum sample, like the Triple Oscillator on the bottom. If at any time you want to hear what the sample sounds like again, or any sound in your beat bassline editor, click on this dark rectangle to the left of the volume knob. You will hear what each sound sounds like. And later I will discuss the layering of the sounds, but the first thing I'm going to show you is how to get that big 80s snare sound. So let's open our Triple Oscillator plugin by clicking on it. And if you saw my last video, you'll recognize this. Go to your OSC1 section, Oscillator 1. For your shapes, click on white noise. For your bottom two oscillators, you can turn the volume all the way down. And if you want to listen to the sound now, it sounds like this. It's literally just noise. And we're going to layer this noise with the snare drum to make it sound like the snare drum is leaving this trail behind it. And that's going to give it that big 80s snare sound. In this screen, that's all we need to do. We're going to use the envelope filter and LFO section. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on my envelope window. We're going to soften the attack a little bit. This will help with the blending with the snare drum sound, and it won't come in quite as harshly. It'll be a little softer. You can click and drag with the mouse to move the attack to around 0.1, or you can simply double click on the knob and manually type in 0.1. Press enter on the keyboard or OK on the window. We are going to adjust our hold because we don't want the sound to stay around for too long. We just kind of want it to fade out as soon as the snare drum kicks in. I'm going to put my hold for now at 0.2 and go over to sustain. I'm going to move this all the way to 0. And you can see my line, the fade out is much more smooth. Double click on the decay knob and I'm going to set it to a value of 0.3. Click OK. Now here's my sound. Now it has a bit more of a snare drum effect. We're going to go to the very bottom of this window to the filter section. We're going to click on the filter button to activate it. Keep it set to low pass because we're going to use the low pass filter to soften the noise a bit. And I think I'm going to probably set around 4,000. I'll show you what happens as I drop the value. Now it has a much softer sound because we're only allowing these values. Everything up to around 4000 hertz is coming through. And for now, we are done with the Triple Oscillator plugin settings. So you can exit out of this. And now we're going to transition to layering. And I'm going to briefly introduce the spectrum analyzer. The goal with the spectrum analyzer is to make the frequencies as balanced as possible without hearing strange artifacts and getting everything to sound as close as the way I intend it to be as possible. So to do that, because we're going to be managing and watching the frequencies for everything, we're going to go here to our FX mixer, and this is also where you find your faders and your master volume control. Click on add effect to add your effect, and it will automatically activate your effects chain. Type in spectrum. You can see the only effect that shows in by default is the spectrum analyzer. So I'm going to double click on that, or you can click OK, your choice. And here's our spectrum analyzer. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to make a really basic drum pattern. And now it sounds like this. We can look at the volume of each by peeking over here at our master volume knob. Actually, we can see that the 30 drum samples are pretty similar in volume, but in practice, the hi-hat seems to be coming through a bit more, and that's partly because it contains mostly higher frequencies, so it naturally is going to sound more upfront. I normally layer the hi-hats with a lower volume. In this case, let's try something like 50. Now let's try again. Now it sounds a little more modest. We're going to really increase the 80s-ness of this sound. We're going to go back to our effects chain. We're going to click on the add effect button again. Type in reverb. And we're going to use this first one. Click OK. And you'll see a small window open. These are our controls for the reverb effect. And let's listen to our beat now with the default reverb settings. Now it's starting to sound like something from 1985. I'm going to double click on the blending knob and I'm going to set this to 0.4 and click OK. And now our beat sounds like this. Now, this sounds like something from the 80s. But let's go back to our layering to even things out a little bit. If we listen to our beat again and we look at our spectrum analyzer, you can see those low frequencies are a bit higher than the mid frequencies and the high frequencies. I know that my primary source of bass is coming from my bass drum sample. When I click on it, you can see how high those low frequencies are going. They're hitting almost zero, the top of the spectrum. So we're going to lower those frequencies with an equalizer. So let's click on our bass drum sample, go over to our effects tab, add effect, type EQ. So this is the one I have most experience with using, so I'm going to use this one. So I double clicked on it. This will activate our equalizer. I'm going to solo my bass drum sound so I can focus on only its frequencies. I'm going to start looping my beats so I can observe those sounds. Most of the frequencies coming from my bass drum are under 200 hertz in this very low frequency range. So my first three knobs, 31 hertz, 63 hertz, and 125 hertz, I'm going to turn down all the way. And now let's see what that does to my bass drum sound. It could use a little bit of punch. I'm going to increase the 125 hertz to around -5 on the value. Before, after. Now let's hear what everything sounds like together. Actually, because we dropped our low frequencies in the bass drum so much, the bass drum sample is a little more quiet in the mix now. I think we can turn the volume of the bass drum sample up to around 120. So I double clicked on my volume knob. I'm going to enter 120, click OK. Now let's listen. Alright, this is substantially better than what we started with. My bass drum sample is still coming through the mix really well, but it's not overloading our ears with bass. And just to help our snare drum effect that we created with the triple oscillator come through the mix a little better so that it's not clashing with the bass drum and the snare, let's modify its low frequencies a little bit also. So let's click on our triple oscillator plugin, go into our effects, add an effect, the same effect that we used with the bass drum, stereo equalizer. Solo our triple oscillator plugin and see what frequencies are coming through. Lower the first 3 knobs all the way. Also lower the 250 hertz knob. And I think this is okay because most of these frequencies aren't coming from the other drum sounds, so they can help fill in those gaps. Let's click on the solo button to bring all our sounds back in. Here's our beat before we worked on layering. And here's our beat after we worked on layering. Now you can see how layering and balancing your frequencies can really improve your sound. Our core beat sounds good and we could call it finished there. If you want to take this beat and turn it into something more creative like this, then you'll want to hang on for part 2 of this video, which will be coming next week. If you want to make sure that you don't miss it, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and please like this video if you enjoyed it. Thank you again for watching. I will see you next time.